Cuba! It's me! Episode 51 of The Willow Show, which stands for Wrestling is Life. Life is Wrestling. Now, on this episode, I wanted to take it back to when I was a fan and I went to some events, whether they be indie show or WWE show. Most of them are when I was when I was a kid or like a teenager, or even sometimes when I took the cameraman to a show. But these are some funny moments that I witnessed being at a live event or waiting outside for an autograph. The first one was, I believe it was 1996, Victoria, BC, and we were waiting outside. There was one entrance. It was a small building. There was one entrance where the wrestlers would come and go in to get ready. So we got there I begged my mom. So we got there a couple hours early, and we were waiting just to see maybe if I could get an autograph or touch someone's fan or hand or say hi to them or something. And this was back when Stone Cold was the ringmaster. And he came, he got out of his vehicle, and he had a Whopper from Burger King in one hand, and he had like a little bag. I don't even know how he fit his boots and stuff in it, because it was not a big bag. It was just like looked like a little bowling ball bag. And he's eating his Whopper in one hand, and he goes up to this fan who was like 3 fans beside me, because there was like a little guardrail so that we couldn't go over the guardrail, I guess. Like, that was going to stop some crazy fan. And he goes, "Here you go." And he goes to give his bag to this one, kid. And the kid's confused, but he goes to take it, and he's like, "Are you kidding me?" And he just pulls the bag back and walks inside. And I was just like, what is going on? I was not very familiar with him. I mean, I had seen a couple things. He was with DiBiase, and that was about it. And I don't know. I went to a couple shows in Victoria for WWE. It was WWF back then. They were house shows, Victoria, BC. And so I can't remember which one was which, but I do remember some things. I remember Vader this must have been 1996, because this is when Vader was feuding with Shawn Michaels, and I believe that was the main event, Vader versus Shawn Michaels. Well, so Vader comes in for his entrance, and some fan decides to scratch him on the back. Basically, he just scratched his back, and Vader turned around and pummeled this fan, and everybody was the crowd went silent, everyone was scared, and then the fan got ejected out of the building, so he got a double dose for his efforts. Another one, I was with one of them my mom didn't take me to, one of them my friend's mom took us to, and that was Goldust had just burst onto the scene, and it was Goldust versus 123 Kid. I think it was 123 Kid. I have the program still somewhere. So anyway, I guess she didn't really keep up with the wrestling that much, and this mom was horrified about Goldust antics. You could tell she was not comfortable with this, cool with this at all. She almost wanted to make us leave and miss the rest of the show, because she was that offended by Goldust gimmick. And it's so funny to me now, because she was so against it kind of was like a gay thing, and now her son turned out to be gay. So it must have been hard for him to break the news to her that he was gay after she was so against Goldust. Another one, some friends of mine got me a Christmas present for me and the cameraman to go to a WWE show in Toronto. Now, this is 3 years ago. And so we were really happy about that. The cameraman used to be really into wrestling at this point. And we went to the show, and I put some money aside because he really wanted a Kane mask, or something to do with Undertaker, or he really liked Sin Cara or Ryback. So I put $100 aside, and we were going to buy some merchandise. Well, we waited in this line for 20 minutes at the intermission to pick him out something that he wanted. Whatever. I had the money. I didn't care if it was overpriced. We went there. The only thing they had was John Cena shirts. And guess what he got? He got a John Cena shirt, and he was not happy about it, and he still complains about it to this day, and he told me he would never wear it again. Another one in Victoria, it was Undertaker versus Mankind. And the funniest thing with this match is Mankind pulled into the trunk, and he pulled out, which appeared to be, it looked like it was a plastic knife wrapped up in white tape. It was this big. It was and it was just white tape. But they sold that thing the whole match. They traded it back and forth without the ref looking. This piece of wrapped up white tape over some toilet paper or something was like the biggest weapon of the whole show. They sold the heck out of this white tape. Now this one wasn't a WWE show. I believe we were like 15 or 16, and it was ECCW was in Campbell River, British Columbia, at the it was like the community center. And by then we had practiced wrestling enough ourselves that we thought we could do it. And my friend Aaron Kern was there, and after the show we hung around, and he said to one of the wrestlers, "Please, is there any way we can get in the ring and show you some of our moves, and maybe you'll sign us?" Like, he actually believed that could happen. So one of the wrestlers, who obviously was not in charge, was like, "You know what, if you guys help put away all the chairs, then maybe I'll let you get in the ring." So there was like 4 or 5 of us, so we proceeded to stack and put away all the chairs, and then by this time, they had started taking the ropes down. So Aaron was like, we're allowed to get in the ring. Let's just get in the ring. So me and him got in the ring. He gave me a suplex, and then someone who was the boss came out of the back and yelled and sweared at us to get the F out of that ring. "What the heck are you kids doing? Get out of there! What are you thinking?" So we put away all the chairs for one suplex. And the other time we went to Toronto for the WWE show, when I brought the cameraman, he was a big fan of Kane. And it was Kane versus Big Show in a steel cage match. And in my opinion, it wasn't the best match I'd ever seen. But the cameraman was there, and he had a couple of his young friends with him too, and they were really into it. They liked Big Show. He was so big. They didn't like him that much, but they were like in awe of him, and they were all in love with Kane. And Big Show was the good guy at this point, and Big Show got the win. And the cameraman proceeded to cry, and he wanted to go home and didn't want to finish the rest of the show, and he was very upset, and he still talks about it to this day, how mad he is that Big Show beat Kane. And so one of the other Victoria events, it was Barry Horowitz wrestled in the opening contest. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Hakushi, maybe not. And then later on in the card, after intermission, it was supposed to be Owen Hart versus Rikishi Fatu. And basically what happened is, I guess Rikishi had got hurt the night before. So they're like, Owen Hart versus Rikishi Fatu is not happening, but don't worry, we have a special surprise as to who will fight Owen Hart. So immediately we all started speculating, who could it be? Who wasn't already on the program? Like, this was going to be a good surprise. Well, as it turns out, Barry Horowitz pulled the double duty and wrestled again. So we were not too pleased with that. We actually thought it was going to be something. One time, my mom, just me and my mom, we were in Vancouver, and they had a show in Burnaby. And it just so happened to be when we were there to go to like the hospital or something, and they happened to have a house show. And I remember the main event was Triple H for Stone Cold, and China was with Triple H. And I remember that the finish was the ref got knocked down. China tried to do a run-in. He kicked them and did a double stunner on both of them. Then the ref woke up and he got the pin. Well, I was sitting next to these kids, and Kane came out. And because I guess it was a house show, none of the people had pyro. So he did this thing, boom, and the kid cried. He was so upset that there was no, he's like, "But he's magic! Why didn't the fire work? Has he lost his magic powers?" He was so, and I didn't have the heart to tell him. It's just like, hey, they don't spend money on the pyro, because I was like 17 by this point, so I had figured a few things out. Now, the last one, I try to do 10 memories here. The last memory that I have is when I went to the house show in Toronto a couple years back. There was this fan in the line when we were waiting for shirts, and I guess he had brought his kid with him, and I guess he wasn't that big of a wrestling fan. I guess he was more of a UFC fan. So he kept complaining that, oh, it's no good because Brock Lesnar wasn't there, and oh, it's only going to be good if Brock Lesnar... He kept going on and on. Anybody would listen to him, and it's just like, dude, try and be positive. You got your kid there with you. He's having a good time. Why you gotta be such a, like, negative Nancy or whatnot? But anyway, I ended up getting close to him in the lineup, and I was like, I just had to do it. What a troll. I was like, is Brock Lesnar wrestling tonight? And he was like, no, what a shame. I spent all this money and I don't even get to see Brock. And I was like, oh, but I heard on the internet someone said that there's a rumor that he might make a surprise thing, and I just kept pushing this guy, and like agreeing with him, like you're right, it's not as great without Brock Lesnar, and he was getting so bent out of shape. But then I got him going, and then I could hear him later telling people, because he was actually like 4 rows above us. Oh, some guy told me Brock Lesnar might show up. I wonder how disappointed he was at the end of the night when there was no Brock Lesnar. So this is episode 51 of The W.I.L.L.I.W Show, which stands for Wrestling is Life. Life is Wrestling. Remember, like or you get a leg drop. Comment or you get a clothesline. Subscribe or you get a suplex. I'm your host, Elian Habanero. I love wrestling. Cuba!